Hello, welcome to Azure Cloud channel. In this module, we will talk about real-time analytics on big data architecture in Azure. So let's talk about what is real-time big data analytics. Real-time big data analytics means that big data is processed as it arrives and either a business user gets consumable insights without exceeding a time period allocated for decision making, or an analytical system triggers an action or a notification. Real-time analytics is a form of big data analytics, but rather focus on big data produced, consumed, stored within a live environment, such as analyzing mass amount of data as it is produced within stock exchanges, banks, and branches throughout the globe. It is mostly used in industries, organizations that routinely produce massive amount of data in very short time. The scope of the analytics can be from multiple sources. It works by fetching, importing big data stored within a system at runtime and execute big data analysis algorithms over it. And we will get insights from live streaming data with ease and capture data continuously from any IoT device or logs, web logs from website click streams, and process it in near real time. So here is the architecture. So we can see different components in the architecture and the data flow. And before we talk about data flow, let's talk about each component, what we have in the architecture. The for ingest purpose, we use Azure Data Factory. And to process the data, the stream analytics data, so we use Azure HD inside Kafka. And to store data, we use Azure Data Lake Storage or blob storage. And preparation and train, we use Polybase. And ETL transformations, we use Azure Databricks. And Azure Databricks has 4 languages we can use: Python, Scala, Spark, SQL, or Spark R. And then we can store the data into Azure Synapse Analytics or Analysis Service. From there, we can connect to Power BI. And let's talk about each component in detail. What is Azure? Let's start with the Azure Data Factory. Azure Data Factory is Azure's cloud ETL service for scale-out serverless data integration and data transformation. It offers a code-free UI for authoring and single pane of glass monitoring and management. We can also lift and ship existing SSIS packages to Azure and run them with full compatibility in ADF. SSIS integration runtime offers a fully managed service, so you don't have to worry about infrastructure management. Azure Data Factory is a hybrid data integration service that allows you to create, schedule, and orchestrate your ETL ELT workflows. Let's talk about Azure Data Lake Storage. Azure Data Lake Storage is a massively scalable, secure data lake functionality built on Azure Blob Storage. If you want to create Azure Data Lake Storage, so while you are creating storage account in Azure, you can just enable hierarchical namespace, then it will automatically create Azure Data Lake Storage. What is Azure Databricks? Azure Databricks is a fast, easy, and collaborative Apache Spark-based analytics platform. Azure Databricks is an Apache Spark-based analytics platform optimized for the Microsoft Azure Cloud Services platform. It is designed with the founders of Apache Spark. Databricks is integrated with Azure to provide one-click setup, streamlined workflows, and an interactive workspace that enables collaboration between data scientists, data engineers, and business analysts. Azure Databricks is a fast, easy, and collaborative Apache Spark-based analytics service. For a big data pipeline, the data is ingested into Azure through Azure Data Factory in batches or streamed near real time using Kafka, Event Hub, or IoT Hub. So here we can see that Kafka and then the data streamed to Azure Databricks. What is Azure HD Insight? Azure HD Insight is a fully managed, full spectrum open source analytics service for popular open source frameworks such as Hadoop, Spark, Hive, Aleph, Kafka, Storm, and more. What is Azure Cosmos DB? Azure Cosmos DB is a globally distributed multimodal database service. Then we'll learn how to replicate our data across any number of Azure regions and scale our throughput independent from our storage. Azure Cosmos DB is a Microsoft globally distributed multimodal database service. With a click of a button, Cosmos database enables us to elastically and independently scale throughput and storage across any number of Azure regions worldwide. We can elastically scale throughput and storage and take advantage of fast single-digit millisecond data access using our favorite API including SQL, MongoDB, Cassandra, Tables, or Gremlin. Let's talk about last two components, Azure Analysis Service and Power BI. Azure Analysis Service is an enterprise-grade analytics as a service that lets us govern, deploy, test, and deliver our BI solution with confidence. Azure Analysis Service is a fully managed platform as a service that provides enterprise-grade data models in the cloud. We can use advanced mashup and modeling features to combine data from multiple data sources, define metrics, and secure our data in a single trusted tabular semantic data model. The data model provides an easier and faster way for users to perform ad hoc data analysis using tools like Power BI and Excel. So Power BI is a suite of business analytics tools that deliver insights throughout our organization. We can connect to hundreds of data sources, simplify data preparation, and drive ad hoc analysis. We can produce beautiful reports, then publish them for our organization to consume on the web and across mobile devices. Let's talk about data flow. So far we covered all the components that exist in this architecture. We covered each component, the ETL tool and preparation time and model and serve. Let's talk about data flow. So we can easily ingest live streaming data for an application using Apache Kafka cluster in Azure HD Insight. If you see that business applications and custom applications, they are structured. And the IoT devices, sensors, and IoT are unstructured, and clickstream, weblogs, data, and events, they are also unstructured. So we can stream that unstructured streaming data through Kafka. And if you want to know, like, how to deploy these resources in Azure, so you can check in one of my video module in the channel. It shows how to deploy these HD Insight clusters in Azure. So we can easily ingest live streaming data for an application using Apache Kafka cluster in Azure HD Insight. And we bring together all our structured data using Azure Data Factory to Azure Blob Storage. It can be Azure Blob Storage or Azure Data Lake Gen 2. So we can use Azure Data Factory to bring that structured data. After that, we take advantage of Azure Databricks to clean, transform, and analyze the streaming data and combine it with structured data from operational databases or data warehouses. So we just discussed with Azure Databricks, like, this is Apache Spark-based analytics platform. So we can do all the ETL transformations. And the first step, we use scalable machine learning, deep learning techniques to derive deeper insights from this data using Python or Scala with inbuilt notebook experiences in Azure Databricks. So we can use Python or Scala, or we can use SQL to do these transformations. And we leverage native connectors between Azure Databricks and Azure Synapse Analytics to access and move data at scale. Once we have this ETL transformation done with the Databricks, then we can load the data into Azure Synapse Analytics. And we build analytical dashboards and embedded reports on top of Azure Data Warehouse to share insights within our organization and use Azure Analysis services to serve this data to thousands of users. So if you see in the diagram, so first we bring the streaming data, unstructured to Kafka and structured data to Data Factory. From there, we load the data both into data lake, and with the Databricks, we can use Polybase to load into Synapse. We can ingest data using Azure Databricks and load it into Synapse. And using Azure Analysis Service, we can build analytical dashboards and embedded reports on top of Azure Data Warehouse. And the power users take advantages of the inbuilt capabilities of Azure Databricks and Azure HD Insight to perform root cause determination and raw data analysis. And we take insights from Azure Databricks to Cosmos to make them accessible through real-time apps. And you can see that Power BI, we can connect to Azure Analysis Services and Databricks to build reports. And we take insights from Azure Databricks to Cosmos DB to make them accessible through real-time apps. So far in this session, we covered that real-time analytics on big data architecture, how to implement this in Azure. And we discussed about all the components that exist in the architecture, and we discussed about data flow. If you have any questions on this real-time analytics on big data architecture, please post them in the comments. If you like this video, please subscribe and share the channel. Thank you.